Welcome to the All About You podcast. My name is Sheila and I am your host. In this podcast, I invite people to tell their stories of their travels, hobbies, and passions. These podcasts are also now available on my All About You YouTube channel. So if you have a story to tell, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story. Welcome to the All About You podcast, and I'm very excited to bring to you this series of mini episodes about Pierre's travels around the globe. In this episode, we are travelling to Oman. So Pierre, welcome back to the podcast.
Sheila, thank you very much for the invite, and I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
You're very welcome. So let's go travelling to Oman. So where do we start then?
We ended the sailing period in 1979. We are going to the Sultanate of Oman. I started there in July 1979, and that was my first job with the oil and gas industry. Oman is located in the south part of the Arabian Peninsula, a beautiful country, mostly desert area, a lot of greenery in the wadis. The wadis, that is more or less the valleys in the mountains, and at the coast, beautiful coastline. Yeah, for me that was the first time that I worked not on a boat, but
on dry land.
On dry land. So yeah, that was for me as well a premier. Talk about the free time what I had. So beside the job, you have free time. Yeah, the weekends. By the way, the weekends in Oman is on a Thursday and a Friday because It is a Muslim country. So the Thursday and the Friday. Other Muslim countries do have other weekends. Some have Friday and Saturday, but Oman Thursday and Friday. The leisure activities of the company were extremely good. You had swimming pools, you had a private beach, you had squash courts, restaurants, you name it, tennis courts, hobby activities. And as you know, I love water, so I was on the water almost every year.
So did Shell provide you with accommodation in sort of a complex?
No, in some countries, yes. Other countries, in big cities like London and in Bangkok, you just lived in the city, but there are other areas where you had a fenced off.
Okay, like an urbanization.
Like Nigeria, but other countries like Oman, it was just an open area, a hilly area with houses and schools and clinics and golf courts, you name it. So it is open to everybody. Only when you went to the clubhouse and the beach, then you had to pass a kind of gate. Some water. So in the weekend, I had a power boat there, and then I went out sailing, and it was the beautiful beaches there, and you have there turtles, you have fish, of course, and I like scuba diving, so beautiful. And then I was with a friend of mine. We were more or less getting the lobsters on the beach, putting the fire on and eating the lobsters fresh. It couldn't be fresher. That time I liked it, but now I think by myself, poor animals, we put them alive on the fire. I wouldn't do that anymore. I liked it that time, but afterwards it was wrong. That was wrong. So the company had fantastic sports and leisure facilities. They also had a safari club, so you could take a Land Rover in the weekend and go in the wadis, desert, in the mountains. Oh, that was beautiful. I really liked it. A very nice country, Oman. The Turtle Beach, that was phenomenal. Every year, turtles are coming on the beach, and they lay about 100 eggs. For that, they have to crawl on the beach, fall in their mates' hole. Because if you look at a beach, it is full with holes. Because they are digging in
their little holes.
And a hole, and then lay their eggs. And then covering up a little bit the place where they hide the eggs. And then they have to crawl back to the sea. It's a tremendous job for those turtles. And then you come back to that place 3 months later. And then the small turtles are popping out of the sand. And then the small ones are going to the sea.
Yeah, they're all trying to get to the sea safely.
Safely. It is known that of the 100 eggs, 1 will mature in a turtle.
Wow.
1 will mature. And the majority is taken on the trip from the beach to the sea. Because there are
the birds,
the foxes, the wild dogs. And
because animals are working out when this process is going to happen, so they're hanging around waiting.
Yes. Yeah. So it is said that on average only 10 of the 100 eggs will be in the end mature an adult sea turtle. One story what I like to share is my fun. But it was in the desert, and we had a new project. But we had to mend it with people. And the company had a very strict Omanization program. So we had to recruit so many Omanis.
So you're recruiting local people?
Recruiting local people and then train the people. So the first stage is going to the Bedouins, the Bedouin villages, and ask the elderly how many young men, that time was only young men, how many young men could be taken from the Bedouin group to be trained in the company's facility. This was fun. Because, the Bedouin village had to take care of the goats and the sheep and the date palms, and the irrigation system stays intact and maintained by the group. So they can't give all the young men to the company.
Yeah, because they still need the men to sort of keep the village going, basically.
Yes. So the elderly had matchsticks, and then one matchstick was longer than another matchstick. And he had it in his hand, and then the young man could pick out a matchstick. And the person who had the longest one got a job. This was amazing because, he couldn't say, well, that person. He did it with matchsticks.
I mean, that's an amazing story, isn't it? Because it's totally fair, but it's one heck of a gamble because you've no idea of, has this person been tending the goats or the date palms? I mean, you've got no idea of their experience. Yeah. What a brilliant story.
Yeah. And one guy who was recruited, because when they are recruited, they have to stay 2 weeks then in the facilities. They will be trained, and then they go back to their village. And he came back with in his turn, he came back with an old Arabian coffee pot. It was not cleaned.
Oh, okay.
He got it from his family to give it to me as a thank you for recruiting him to the company.
Oh my God.
And I still have that.
You still got the coffee pot?
In my class vitrine, my collection. Yeah, that was amazing, yeah. Besides the safari trips, I did a lot of snorkeling and scuba diving. And by the way, another highlight in Oman was the birth of my daughter. That was the first time for the company that somebody gave birth in the clinic, in the Shell clinic. And also a lot of family members visited me in Oman. My mother came over, my sister, my younger sister 2 times, my elder sister 1 time, because it is a perfect holiday destination.
Some great stories about your time in Oman. As you say, you love the water, so you really enjoyed your time there and making the most of all the water sports available.
Yes, on the beach you could use sailing boats. Yeah, scuba diving for me is so nice. That time I don't do it anymore. I'm 72, so no, I don't do it anymore.
Well, you're still looking good for 72, Pierre, I have to say.
Thank you. Yeah,
So that's a really lovely podcast about Oman. So where are we going to go on your next stage of your travels?
Well, Sultanate of Oman, that was almost 7 years, 6.5 years. And the next post is Holland, the Netherlands. And that was a surprise, because you are employed with Shell International, so you are more or less going to countries outside Holland. So that was a big surprise for me, but yeah, we went to Holland.
Okay, so we'll keep that for the next podcast. We're off to Holland. I hope you enjoyed the conversation. Please subscribe on whatever platform you are using. It is free, and if you would like to tell your story, please contact me on allaboutyoupodcast@yahoo.com and let's tell your story.